welcome everybody. We're so excited to be here today. My name is Tinja Anderson. With me, I have Brian Smith, and together we make up the special care planning team at Mass Mutual of Greater Houston. And today we're very excited to be interviewing the Best Buddies in Texas team, specifically the Integrated Employment team. So we're going to be interviewing Cheyenne and Casey. Cheyenne is an employment consultant and Casey is the manager of job development. And so I'm going to pass the baton and let them introduce themselves. So welcome.
I'm Cheyenne Jock, and I'm an employment consultant. I've been with Best Buddies since July of 2020, and I am dedicated solely to the residents at Daymark Living in Waxahachie. I work in this area to find competitive and integrated employment for their residents. And Casey, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Casey Rankin, and I've been with Best Buddies since August 2016, so almost 5 years here. And I'm the manager of job development in Houston. So we service Houston and the surrounding counties, and my job is to work with Texas Workforce Commission to bring in referrals and also place participants.
So when you're dealing with the young adults and getting them placed with employment opportunities, are you guys doing any coaching pre-placement? Is there any trainings that you guys either host yourselves or refer out? Or are you typically looking for job-ready applicants with our young adults?
So with my specific program, because I'm dedicated to the residents at Daymark, they've actually been on lockdown since March of last year, and they just opened up about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago. So for the last several months, we've just been doing pre-employment coaching, getting them ready for interviews, how to find jobs, what to look for in a job, figure out what their strengths are. So I've been doing a lot of that. Now Casey works in the more traditional program, so she may have a different insight. But we do have some requirements that they have to meet before we would accept them into the program. And then we provide the coaching, obviously, along the way. But I do, in my program, do a lot of pre-employment coaching.
Yeah, and over here in Houston, typically, they just have to be 18 years of age and want to go to work in the community. So depending on the types of referrals we receive from Texas Workforce Commission, they might need a little bit more training to get ready for work, whether that's a personal social adjustment training, or maybe they just need a little bit of vocational training, or just a little polishing up on, say, their interview skills or how to apply or something like that. But as long as they want to go to work, we'll make it happen for them.
So how long does that process take, I guess, for an average, guesstimate for a young adult coming in? Is it 3 to 6 months working with you guys and then getting placed? Or is it a little bit longer? I mean, if we were to take COVID out of the picture, obviously that slowed everything down. But typically if a family is looking, hey, I've got a young adult, I want to get them employed, what's the time frame they're looking at with working with you guys?
Yeah, that's a great question. So typically, we say it's about 3 to 6 months. It can vary a little bit depending on how much work experience you might have, depending on, the type of services you might be referred for. Some people just need a little bit of polishing up and they're ready to get a job within, say, the month. And some people, maybe they're looking for their first job and it might take us a little bit longer towards, that 3 to 6 months type of line. COVID hasn't been great, but kind of one of the great things that have come out of it is that we can do everything virtual now. So it really takes away some of those barriers so that we can meet more often or have longer meetings and not have to worry about getting to the office. So typically, around that 3 to 6 months.
What typical employment opportunities do you guys have readily available for our young adults, or is it a wide range of different employment opportunities? Or do you guys specialize in certain ones?
Yeah, I love that question because we're really, it's going to depend on what our participants want to do. I always say that, I'm not really a plug and place type of job coach. Just because I have jobs there doesn't mean that I'm going to put you there. We really want it to be a match, a match for the employer and a match for the participant. But, being a national organization, we do have some really great national opportunities. One being with the TJX Corporation, one being with Mod Pizza, with Nike. We also have a great relationship with Kelly Services. So we do have some really big national partnerships that really allow us to kind of to work and find great placements for our participants. But if they want to do something completely out of the ordinary or not with one of those employers, like I said, we'll make it happen.
And so do you guys, so if let's say we have a family with a minor who's 16, 17, employment is on the horizon for them post high school, do you have workshops or clinics or any type of information or training opportunities for moms and dads to start prepping their young adult for the employment transition in a few years? Is there anything that families can get involved with early enough so that they're, all cylinders clicking whenever they turn 18?
Yeah, so we don't typically, to be in our jobs program, they do have to be 18 years of age, and we don't really do much with the high school students if they're looking for work. So they might have to find kind of a different provider to be in that space. But we do have a friendship program that they can be a part of from elementary school to middle school, high school, on to college, where we match people in one-to-one friendships to really build that, social factor of having a job. I always say friendship is the most important thing in the whole world. So they got to have friends. And then we also have an ambassador program where we teach advocacy, where we teach networking, where we can, teach those skills, but it's not really in kind of like a camp type setting or like a workshop type setting. It's definitely a little bit more casual and just conversation based.
Awesome.
I will say that our the people that lead our ambassador trainings for Best Buddies, they have done some that are targeted for our jobs participants, like LinkedIn, but they're kind of open to all of the ambassadors. So they've done LinkedIn trainings and, how to build out your About Me section in your LinkedIn, how to use LinkedIn effectively. And I know that's how we connected. So it's definitely important. So in the ambassador program, I just want to give them an extra plug because that's a great way to get plugged in for both parents and participants, because parents can really get some good resources from those as well.
What would be some tips or advice for parents that have young adults that are 16, 17 that are going to want to go down the employment? What can they start doing now so that they're better prepared when their adult turns 18 to pair up with Best Buddies or to be more readily available for those employment opportunities?
I think, sorry, do you want to go ahead?
Go ahead.
I think my biggest, I'm a parent too, so I know that this is the hardest thing in the world to do, but I think that it's so vital, is give your child, no matter how old they are, the opportunity to try something and fail. So once they have that experience, it's a lot, I don't want to say easier, but it's just so much more beneficial for them to actually have some sort of experience. Even if it wasn't a successful one, they learned something from it, so it's always successful. So if you give your child that freedom to try something, let them explore. You don't know how many people, I'm sure Casey's run into this as well, how many people I ask what their dream job is and they just don't know because they've never been asked that question. So let them have that opportunity to explore. I mean, I'm sure when we were in high school, we worked jobs that maybe we didn't necessarily like, or we thought we would like, but we didn't, but we all learned something from them. So give your child the opportunity to try things, figure out what they like. And if it's not successful, then that's okay too. As long as everyone is safe, then you're going to learn something from it. So that's always my number one tip. Not super practical or super concrete. It's kind of a big idea, but Casey may have something a little more specific.
No, I totally agree. Just start talking about work in general, start observing people when you're out in public, start looking at the types of jobs that they might be doing, start looking at the types of skills they might be using, just kind of get those wheels moving in their head. But also, as far as getting involved with Best Buddies, I think that networking, that social piece, how many ideas have you guys gotten just from talking to your friends? So I think adding that social piece in there as well kind of gets those wheels moving and gets their, ideas pumping to kind of see what they might be really interested in.
So one thing I want to ask about, and it's pretty technical, but I know a lot of families think about this just from a routine-based mentality of not having to change that young adult's routine too often. What would you say the average employment time for the young adults that you guys work with when you guys get them plugged in with their first job? What do you say the average time is that individual stays at that job without having to move around to different places?
So I think that's going to be up to the participant. You know, when we place participants into jobs, we typically ask that they're willing to work at least 16 hours per week, so that they're in the job site, they're mastering those skills. It's truly integrated and competitive, but they can stay there as long as they like. One of the great things about Best Buddies, that I absolutely love, is that you have access to our resources, to your job coach, through the tenure of that job. So you could be there for 1 year, for 5 years, for 10 years. You can get promotions, advocate for pay raises. I have participants working right now. They started out, their first time job, and they're coming back to me right now being like, okay, I'm ready for a full-time job. Like, it's time for me to move into the more professional aspect
That's
of my career. So we're there to help with that and to really help build on their goals.
That's awesome. Do you guys help any, like, so if the requirement's 16 hours, what if the young adult's in school or going to some like college or associates, getting their associate's degree? Do you work with anyone that kind of needs to balance school and maybe less than 16 hours a week? Or is there a pretty hard line in the sand for you guys with working with 16 hours a week?
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah. If they're in school, I have participants right now, they're in school, and a couple of them are actually graduating right now. So while they're finishing up their finals and stuff, they've had to ease back on work, and maybe they're only working a couple shifts per week. We just ask that, eventually they get to that 16-hour per week marks, so that it is truly competitive and they're really in there. But yeah, we understand everyone's got, things going on in life, and sometimes you have to step back, to focus on other goals. So we're there to help support them, whether that's in school, whether that's something else they have going on. But absolutely, it's not a hard no for us if you can't work 16 hours per week. We want to accommodate.
So on the flip side, I know a lot of employers are called or want to help our community out, but they might not be fully educated. They might not understand proper language. They might not understand proper interactions. Do you guys work with employers in training them and coaching them to be ready to onboard and employ someone with a disability? Do you work with them? Do you get them ready? Is there that type of coaching, or is that outsourced?
So I can speak on that because it's honestly one of my most favorite things to do is to educate the employer. And I was just meeting with someone yesterday, and bless her heart, we've met so many times just privately because she overthinks everything and she is so worried that she's going to do something wrong. And I love that because it shows that she's interested in learning and she's interested in growing. So if people have questions, I always say there's never a dumb question, because that shows that you actually want to make your workplace more inclusive and more accepting of other people. So I love working with employers, to help them adapt. Especially sometimes it's not so much the supervisor who I'm working one-on-one with, it's the rest of the employees. Um, that are the lower level people who are maybe having more one-on-one interactions, with the participant. And that's always fun too, because you really get to show them and make them more aware. And the people that have been in the Best Buddies Friendship Program in high school, I know we keep plugging that program, but it's just such a good one for everyone. So for people with IDD and people without IDD, they already learned so much because they've had that friendship interaction. But for the people who haven't, they definitely benefit from that coaching and just a little sensitivity training and awareness. And I think when you're in an inclusive environment, everyone's going to win, not just the participant.
Yeah, I think that's very important for employers to be inclusive and get them the right training so that they're ready to onboard not just one but multiple young adults, and allowing other people to have their eyes open to the community and the relationships that we have. How do parents get involved and support Best Buddies if they feel called? Not only have you helped their young adults, but maybe just other families that just think you guys are doing God's work. How do they get involved and support you guys?
Yeah, so they can really get involved in any of our programs. If you have school age students and they're in our friendship program, you can volunteer and be a part of the chapter there as like a parent volunteer. I know that's where we've gotten a lot of our really awesome parents, is through the friendship program. Again, plugging that again. But parents can also be ambassadors. I don't know how many times, like we used to have participants with only intellectual and developmental disabilities come up and speak, about their life and tell us their story. And then we really started talking to parents, and we were like, they have so much knowledge and so much insight to show as well. So if We have parents that want to learn how to advocate or want to talk to employers, they can do that as well. And then as part of our jobs program, I'm always looking for people to mock interview, anything like that to help us, to help our participants be prepared, when they step into that workplace. But
And
really,
use their network.
yeah, and use their network. Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes, they're the greatest example. We talk to our students, we're like, what do your parents have that you don't have? Jobs, So really using them as a resource and allowing them to understand that there are networks, and they have different experiences to offer as well. So yeah, just really in any way, shape or form, we're very much a yes organization. So let us know what you want to do. And again, we'll make it happen. We have committees. We do have boards. I know that Dallas has a junior board as well as an executive board, and Houston has an executive board. So if they're looking to get more involved on kind of like a professional level like that, we'd love to have them as well.
Awesome. Well, we're going to wrap up here shortly because we don't want to be too long, but I do want to ask, is there certain projects that Best Buddies is working on or has in the works, or programs that we didn't talk about today or touch on that you guys want to spend some time talking about?
I think just the fact that Daymark Living is open now, we're really launching the Waxahachie program. We are starting a Citizens Friendship Chapter, which is the friendship chapter, but for people who are adults. That's something that other states have done, and Texas has not done it yet. So we're hoping to get that off the ground because we know the importance of friendship even at an adult level. We've launched the ambassador program here at Daymark. So Daymark's kind of like a one-stop shop over here. So now that we're kind of open and can go out in the public, now we're really just getting this program off the ground. I know we have a lot of expansion goals, especially when it comes to DEI this year, to launch more programs in low-income areas and more diverse communities. Casey, is there anything else that we should add?
No, I think those are kind of the two main ones, as a national organization and as, Texas. So I think that's it, yeah.
So I see your emails behind you on the left. Where can clients or families get some of the information pretty quickly off the internet? Just go to bestbuddies.com, or is there
bestbuddies.org/Texas. And then you'll have all the resources that are available to Texas. And when you contact someone through there, or if you email me or Casey, it's just our first name, last name at bestbuddies.org. We can direct you to the right person.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, guys, for spending 15, 20 minutes with us. This is a huge resource for our families. I know a lot of movements right now in the community are to push as much independence as possible, whether that's through going to college and going that route or getting a job straight out of high school. So I think you guys are doing awesome work. I truly appreciate you guys spending time with us, and hopefully we can get this out to the families quickly and get rocking and rolling. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having us, guys. And thanks for doing this. This is awesome.
Yeah.